You may remember some time ago, we took a target rifle in the mountains. This stock, you may remember, depends on how many videos you watch and how good your memory is, I suppose. Laminate stock, pre-64 model 70. You can see that somebody got rid of the bottom metal, and therefore it would be a single shot. And what we were doing that day was making a video to discover or confirm what the chambering of this target rifle was and is. And there are the results. This video takes a very interesting path, or at least interesting to me. So the cartridges, this is 7x64. I have a lot of this ammo. I think it was actually this box, but anyway, it doesn't matter. 7x64 chambered in this target rifle. You'll see it in a moment. And after firing, this is the case that we ended up getting. A lot of people wrote me and said, scolding me in a way that I should have taken a chamber casting, and I think I did. I have a, I would say, fairly busy collection. Sometimes I cast using metals that melt at low temperatures, and sometimes, actually not recently, but I used to use sulfur, which was given to me actually by a veteran. The sulfur works nicely. Anyway, you can take a chamber cast, but on that day, I just fire formed this brass. And then the neatest thing happened. I was looking in one of these obscure websites, and the ammunition advertised was, I think it said 7mm Gibbs ammo. And have a look at, I mean, it's not huge good fortune, but this is an original box of 7mm Gibbs from Viola, Idaho. People often correct my pronunciation, which I appreciate, but if you want a funny moment, just punch in on Google. Here you see, if we can film that, Gibbs. This is an original box of, well, part box of brass and ammo for this rifle, separated by, I don't know, 50 years. But here it is. So I was happy to find it because in this box was the original ammo. And I mean, that's the brass we made. And this is what Gibbs, the fellow's name was Rocky Gibbs from Viola, Idaho. And you can punch it in on Google and hear what there's a robot who sings to you how to pronounce this name, which I was going to put on the video, but then I thought maybe not. Anyhow, somebody made a little note there on a load. Fantastic round, great rifle. But actually, what is this mainly about other than this interesting little historical anecdote? It's about getting the rifle back to the way it was when it left the factory. And quite a lot of people these days are very busy with restorations, getting, especially Lee Enfields. I receive a lot of correspondence. So the footnote to that is, when I was younger, people were getting these 303s for minimal, I don't know, $100, something like that. There were a lot of them around. There were even a lot of Springfields and 98 Mausers, from the Second World War and First World War. And they were heavy, and so people were very busy, and there were a lot of aftermarket parts to turn the military rifle into a sporting rifle. And now, time's gone by, and the people are trying to turn the sporting rifles into military rifles again. And some of them are pretty amazing. Actually, I found a company in Saskatchewan that's restoring the Lee Enfields, bringing them back to new. And there's a company, I think from memory, James River. Does that name ring a bell? And they're turning out some fantastic Springfields. Somebody from there contacted me, and sniper versions, and Garens have been restored for a long time. Anyhow, this is not so spectacular, but for me, while I'm sort of homebound, I thought this would be useful. So here's where I'm at. The stock was, I think this would be very difficult to find. It's a very heavy barrel. I don't think I'll find an original barrel, but I might. But that's what this rifle would have looked like, roughly speaking. So I don't think there's going to be a problem getting it to fit the stock. And I'll keep an eye out for a barrel, but I like this Rocky Gibbs round. When I was shooting, spectacular accuracy, and there's nothing wrong with that 7mm Gibbs. You can see, just looking at the brass again, I can see what this Rocky fellow was up to. Anyone can. He was squeezing every possible ounce of potential out of essentially the 30-06 case, because the 7x64 sounds exotic, but it's about the same as the 280, and I'm Remington, and I'm still pretty sure this is probably based on a 280, but somehow the 7x64 worked, or maybe he was just experimenting that day with 7x64, I don't know. Anyhow, yeah, he got as much powder as he could while retaining some kind of a neck. You have to have some neck tension to hold the bullet, and so that's accomplished. And yeah, I mean, just spectacular performance. If you're wondering about this color, that's just annealing. It helps the case last longer, but I'm oversimplifying again. And did I check the bottom of these cases to see what the head stamp was? Yes, I did. And it's a military case, not surprisingly. So I would have to look up. I thought I'd be lucky and it would say, you know, something like Winchester 30-06, but no, they're military cases. And there may be a wisdom to that too. I don't know, maybe that brass is stronger or better. Or there are always things you don't know. This is sort of a striking part, and somebody will ask me, what does it do? It just holds on the butt plate assembly from the original target rifle. That will not fit. Actually, I was hoping that it would. So what are we missing? I was super lucky and found the original for the swivels here. Well, they don't really swivel anyway. That's for the sling. And these fit. These screws came with these from a shop, but I can't remember which one. Anyhow, they're not impossible to find, but they just dropped right in. I didn't have to do anything. I'll have to re-drill these holes, or use different screws. I'm assuming there was some kind of a grip cap, and this checkering is a mystery. I can't really find a deluxe kind of target rifle. They made a few different models, Palma Match and others. Anyway, it sits in there nicely. I don't think this is a totally custom stock, but I suppose it's possible. Some of the pictures do look like this is a factory edition. And then we have the rail, and I was really lucky and found the original rail, so that's good. And I have this sitting on the table. This is just to hand rest. You can attach different parts to it. So it would sit under here, presumably the other way around, like this. Seems to be the logical thing. I didn't have it installed on this rifle. I had it on another one. And whether or not I put it on, I don't know. It just helps you hold the rifle steady, because that barrel is something else. Anyhow, so then bottom metal, yeah, I scavenged this off of, this is typical pre-64 bottom metal. I'll put it a little closer to you. A magazine box, floor plate, and trigger guard. Screws aren't too hard to find. Sometimes Brownells has different parts, and of course there are custom sources, makers of bottom metal for the pre-64s, so I could go to one of those, but then, you know, some of them are more expensive than a rifle. Anyway, I don't usually like cannibalizing rifles, but that's from one of my beat up pre-64s. So we'll see. And of course this needs, this wood has become very dry, so I'll have to do something to bring that back without refinishing. I won't refinish. And then of course I need some kind of butt plate. So out of this, I think I'll have something that looks, if it isn't a factory model, it's a lot closer, because this for sure was never turned out by Winchester as far as I know. As comfortable as it is, and as nice as laminate stocks are, there's so much, I'm assuming, epoxy between the layers that they tend to be quite heavy. Anyway, you know how it is when you have a project. You just have like a vision of what you're going to be doing, or what the result hopefully will be. And then you pursue that, which is one of the best parts of collecting, and the subject of, I lost count how many letters and how many projects you're all up to. And I think it's a fantastic thing, especially when it all works out. Not that it always does, but I'm pretty sure this will work out. So this is a Unerdal scope. And if you didn't see the original video, the scope moves in these mounts. Instead of the scope being mounted in such a way that it's rigid, that means that all the shock is transferred to the internals. So then you have to have a suspension system, you know, mostly like rubber gaskets in modern scopes. So I mean, and it looks kind of magnificent. This can be secured so that it works like a shock absorber. It's not quite a McPherson strut, but you get the idea. And that gives you the windage and elevation adjustments in the mount. Again, you wouldn't want to go stumbling around the Alpine with a scope like this, probably, although you could. But it kind of infers that it's delicate. Anyhow, a lot of talking about, not much. Unerdal mounts and scope, very clear optics, fantastically accurate rifle. And you know how I talk about accuracy, just because of that whole theory, the cone of dispersion. Success hunting really requires 2 or 3 inches of minutes of angle. And people are, you know, after half a minute of angle. And it's nice to punch holes in paper, but you really don't need that most of the time. I would say most of my shots are 200 yards, the odd time 400, and you'd still hit. And then there's movement, so many variables. Anyhow, that's another subject. That's probably all I had to show you. So we'll continue with this so-called restoration. I think even if it's not entirely correct, I think it's probably a better looking rifle, to me anyway, in this stock. Let me know what you think. And with some decent bottom metal, I already know it shoots incredibly well, so no question about that. Whoever owned it, I don't think they shot it much at all. And now I know what caliber it is, and it's very easy to shoot and make this work. So that's one of the things I've been up to. I'll make some more videos. I sort of had all kind of obstacles and didn't do much past few days. But I'm happy to be back here, and I hope you're doing okay. I always close with some kind of best wishes, and I'm quite sincere. Stay healthy and good shooting, and I hope you get into nature as much as you can. And take care until next time. Bye.